So Izzy, like a couple of weeks ago, I was in New York to do Pablo's show. And the night before I did the show, I went out with some friends. And there was a guy, I didn't know him, but he was trying to convince me that Cooper Flagg was going to go back to school because we've never seen a rich white player go number one overall. And so there were no comps. And I'm like, no, there's comps. It's 6 zillion years of NBA players who have declared for the draft because they want to play against the best. And this dude swore up and down. And he said, because there was ever been a rich white kid go number one. I said, that is such an arbitrary metric. But it also reminded me of a very important thing. Stop getting into conversations with people who don't know what the they're talking about. Because this is what it was Twitter in real life. Now on Twitter, on threads, I don't even engage. I'm like, yeah, whatever, you got it. But this is in real life. And I don't know, like I felt somehow, is it too much for me to expect people to like accept my expert opinion on like this?
Yeah, no, I'll answer that later. But quick question. Pablo who?
Welcome to Oddball. I'm Amin Elhassan. That's Izzy Gutierrez. We've got a hell of a show for you guys today. We have one big question coming out of each game one of the playoffs that we wrapped up around the game ones over the weekend. And so our job is to answer the question, or maybe think of a better question, Izzy. Before we get started on these questions, let me just ask you, did you have a fun weekend watching basketball?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
by the way, I thought you were gonna say, speaking of hell, Kyle Kuzma's first playoff game as a Buck.
Yikes, we'll get to that one.
We'll get to that one later. We'll start with Lakers T-Wolves, though. And here's the question that is asked of us, and we'll decide if this is the right question.
Yeah.
Does LeBron really know how to be a Robin to Luka's Batman, which I hate that this is the the superheroes we're going with is Batman and Robin, given the whole Steph and Jimmy Butler stuff. But Luka, the clear Batman here, had 37, 8, and 1 assist. He went 12 of 22 from the field. LeBron, 19 points, 8 of 18 from the field. The Wolves made a franchise playoff record 21 threes, won pretty easily here. Is this a matter of LeBron not being able to fit in next to Luka because everybody else in the team clearly can't?
No, I mean, that's not where my brain went at all when I was watching that game. My brain went to what JJ Redick talked about, which is we came with regular season intensity and they came with playoff intensity. My thoughts went to the physicality of the Timberwolves and specifically their ability to guard one-on-one with limited help. Right? They limited the help. And what ends up happening is it proves that the Lakers, LeBron's awesome. Luka's awesome. Everybody else is kind of all right. They exist to make open shots. And when open shots aren't there, all of a sudden, gets really real, really fast for them. And this is my interesting stat of the night from that game, right? Luka Doncic, 1 assist in the game. That is a season low. LeBron James, 3 assists in the game. That is a season low. The Lakers as a whole, 15 assists in the game. That is a season low. That all ties back to the Wolves' ability to defend at a high level, one-on-one across the board.
Well, a few things. We talked about ever since the trade how Luka needs a big, an athletic big, ideally somebody who he can lob it to. Jackson Hayes played 8 minutes. So behind him, what do you have? Nothing really. And you mentioned guys that if they're not hitting shots, they're not worth much. Dorian Finney-Smith, great defender, good 3-and-D guy, but can do more than stand in the corner, right? He can cut, he can find ways. Same thing with Gabe Vincent. Like Gabe Vincent is kind of a gamer. Like he's just not a guy that you just want to sit in the corner and have him make play or make open shots without doing anything else. And when you've got 3 total shots from your actual bench, I'm not including Dalton Connect, who came in late, 3 total field goals from your bench, that's just not good enough. And so say what you will about what LeBron can do, what, Rui or even Austin Reeves, there was all this conversation. Where's Austin Reeves in the first half? Well, if he's not included in the every possession offense, then he's going to disappear for a while. And so that's what you're looking at is that level of Lakers team.
You know what question I hear you asking? Was JJ Redick not big enough for the moment? Did he know? Was the brilliant young neophyte coach not playing the chess moves like the Chris Finch who was born in this muck of like just adjustments and X's and O's?
Well, look at how the home teams did. I mean, they came out, especially the favorites, right? The 1, 2s, and 3s. They came out of the box pretty well. Even the Knicks, as a 3 seed, put together a 20-0 run against the Pistons. And so, yeah, if you're a home team at this level, you're supposed to be ready for this spot. You're not supposed to be like, oh wow, a little surprised by this team.
Did all the 2s come out well? Maybe we'll get to that in a second. Let's start with a 4-5 though. The Clippers and Nuggets. This was the game of the weekend, right? This was the best game we got out of all the game ones, and it was Russell Westbrook who soared and then crashed and then soared again. And so the question is this Russ's last chance to win a ring as a real contributor? Oof.
That's an interesting question because Russell Westbrook is so important to this team, or it seems like he's important to this team, in that game. And you know, this was hilarious to me, this whole discussion of play Russ more or less, and Michael Malone was playing him too much. I mean, clearly they need this level of effort and this level of just kind of knowing how to do things when it matters. And I know he might miss a layup or two when it's crunch time, but Russ is always going to give you this.
Dude, I'm telling you, I'm like, that's why he's playing. That's why Michael Porter Jr. on the bench, because he was doing his best Kyle Kuzma impersonation, right? And Russ is like, F it. I'm going to play and something is going to happen. Could be good, could be bad, but something is going to happen. We're going to basically light a grenade or, unpin a grenade and roll it into the room and see what happens. And that's exactly what he did. He did it with energy. He did it with hustle. He did it with offensive rebounding. He hit a 3 and then gave us a look like, what did you guys expect? And like, I'll be honest, Russ, I didn't expect you to make that shot. And then like once it's like, oh my God, Russ is the hero at the end of regulation. He's wide open. Take the shot. Nope, I'm going to try to put it on the floor, but then fumble it and then try to throw it off a Harden, and that doesn't work either. And we're like, oh no, did Russ just mess it all up? And then in overtime, he forces the turnover on Harden, which may not have been a turnover, but guess what? This is why you always have timeouts remaining so that you can challenge those plays. And so he's the hero again. And to me, if I'm David Adelman, I'm like, yeah, I'll take that over a dude just standing out there for 30 minutes.
I was going to say, who's the person that management wanted to play ahead of Russ? Because I don't think that person would have done this.
Michael Porter Jr., for sure. Missouri man, right?
Right. Well, the interesting on the other side, this one's crazy to me. Like every time I'm watching Kawhi Leonard now, I just think of like the 2017 Western Conference Finals and Game 1, where he was just absolutely roasting the Warriors. Yeah. And come at the peak of his powers before the knee injury that only had him play 9 games that following season, and then obviously Jaja Pachulia, gets under his ankle and he's out for the series, but. This dude is ridiculous, remarkable, and they're so good right now because James Harden could give you the game that he had there, 32 and 11, and it still very much leaves plenty of space for Kawhi to work because it's almost like James works in the pick and rolls and Kawhi works in the ISOs, and good luck, going back and forth defending that as a team. And so to see them lose this game in overtime and you kind of project the probability of the Nuggets winning. I don't know if you do yet, but I do. Yeah. The Nuggets winning this series. It's just like, man, it makes me sad.
Well, there's 2 ways to look at it, right? Way one is like, oh, we almost won. We lost in overtime. We had a chance to win. We actually coughed it up at the end of regulation. We should have won the game. We're in a great spot. That's glass half full. Glass half empty is that was our chance to steal. And like those things tend to linger. I worked for the Phoenix Suns in 2008. We played the San Antonio Spurs, and that Game 1 we went to San Antonio and we lost in overtime. And one of the big shots was the Tim Duncan 3-pointer where he roars. It's one of the most iconic plays in playoff history. But it was like we should have walked away like, oh man, we absolutely could beat these guys. Instead, we lost Game 2 on a final possession type of play. Game 3, they blew us out, so now we're down 3-0. Game 4, we blew them out, so now we're down 3-1. Game 5, we lost in a final possession type situation again, and it's like,
not that you remember all these details,
but it's one of those things where like I always go back to like, man, had we won that game, would the whole series have been different? Because people just look at, you guys lost in 5, clearly you weren't good enough, but it's like 3 of those losses, we were right in it. They blew us out one time, we blew them out one time, and it's one of those coin toss things. And you look back at like, is momentum a thing and all those things? And I wonder, are the Clippers, is this the sign that, oh man, we got them? Or is this like, we let a golden opportunity slip?
I mean, to me, it would feel like the team that's done it before has they feel like they stole a victory because they're like, oh, okay, we figured out what they're going to do to us. And we still sort of came back late and won this game. Now we can make adjustments without taking that L first. And I think given that the Nuggets had, like I said, have been around so much and they got Jokic, who's figure things out as he goes. Like, I think it just probably puts them in a better position. All right. Can we move on to Warriors Rockets? The most emotional one for me. I want to call out really quickly 10-Day Tony Catalayud on the Batard show. I wasn't there to defend myself, but he said that I said on Friday's show, Amin, that you and I co-hosted, that I said that the Rockets would sweep and that Fred VanVleet would be amazing, and that's why the Rockets are going to win the series.
Yeah, I remember you saying all that.
I did not say that.
Oh, no?
I did not say any of that. So what I will say, though, is also there's no gloating after game one. All right. Us vets know that this is a 7-game series. And at some point there, and I will say all the top seeds came out pretty well because the Rockets were up like 19-12. Like, they were fine in the first quarter. It was somewhere in the middle of that where they just forgot how to play basketball. And Fred VanVleet and Jalen Green were just extremely ineffective. And if you're telling me, hey, like, they can play that level of defense and still keep the Warriors to 95 with Steph Curry hitting some of the most ridiculous fourth quarter shots, I'll tell you, okay, Jalen Green and Fred are not going to shoot like that all series long. I do think that Alperen Sengun got punked by Draymond Green, and I think that probably will change, I will say. I don't think he will be as affected by Draymond Green's defense now that he knows what's coming. So to answer the question here, can the Rockets' size make up for their streaky shooting? I think yes. I don't think it is just the size, although they did look good with the double bigs out there. But I think this was a game one, not an anomaly, because obviously the Warriors can do this and the Rockets can look like that. But this was some of the worst you're going to see out of the Rockets. And I don't think you're going to get 6 more games of this.
Yes. So according to the stats, what is that? 78% of best of 7 series where you win game one, you go on to win. I believe that number is even higher when you win game one on the road. I believe that number is probably even higher when you win game one on the road against a band of first time at the rodeo here. and that's what that game looked like last night.
I will say this. Remember I told you that it would be me against the Rockets against the world as I watched this? The whole time I'm saying to myself, damn it, I hate that Amin is this correct.
I'm just saying, man, like, it's just one of those things where, like, it's an irony, and I'm not doing this to dig at you at all, but it reminded me a lot of Pistons versus Knicks, where, like, both the Thompson twins had these kind of brain farts in their respective series. That's like, it's not because he's not good or not clutch or whatever. It's just, man, this is the first time you're doing any of this.
And it's got to be against Steph.
And it's got to be against Steph. And so, first of all, if you don't think the Warriors had on their board all week long, they held Steph to 3, and they think they got this, right? And it doesn't help that you got someone like Dylan Brooks who agitates and talks and does more. But the Warriors did what they do, which is they executed. They defended the bejesus out of them. I'm talking about, look, they could not protect the offensive glass, and I thought Steven Adams and Jabari Smith both did incredible jobs keeping possessions alive. That's what got them back in the game, by the way. Those two guys assaulting the offensive glass. But at the end of the day, if Jalen Green and Amin Thompson can't be better decision makers, I'm not even talking about better shot makers, better decision makers. Even Coach Udoka talked about it in the postgame, getting caught up in the crowd. And he's not talking about like the audience. He's talking about guys dribbling into 4 Warriors with quick hands and not having a plan for what happens next.
Yeah, and that's what's really annoying watching Jalen Green play, even if he wasn't getting those swipes, right? He didn't have a plan when he faced, 2 more defenders, and it's just like, what are we doing? I do think, again, that is something that they haven't been that They haven't been doing all season long, right? They've been making good decisions. They've, a couple turnovers, whatever here or there, but they've been good there. And so I think they can turn that around. And I will say this: there's this one question here as an alternate question that drives me nuts here that the producers offered to us. It said, "Is Jimmy already a better partner than Clay ever was?" Whew. This is not so much a Jimmy thing. This is not a Jimmy thing.
That's disrespecting Clay, man.
Do you think? I think Clay has had one of the greatest existences in the history of the NBA, where he can show up when he needs to, and boom, you're a top 75 player of all time.
But he's not. He wasn't.
He wasn't. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's like his number. Let's go to 2022, for example. Who was the second leading scorer on the Warriors that season, those playoffs?
In the playoffs, I want to say it was Andrew Wiggins, but
in the finals, yes, and it was Andrew Wiggins. Clay was third. And you go back to obviously the Kevin Durant years. Like Klay Thompson scored 60 and 3/4. Why? It was just regular offense, just because they were that good, and defenses couldn't do shit against them. And so this, like, he lived this charmed existence. Like what Jimmy is coming to do is effectively be a KD, and they don't really have a Clay. Right. So he's a dumbed down version of Kevin Durant. No offense, Jimmy. And then they don't really have a Clay option. And this is just a different way for Steph and Draymond to do it. Like that defense yesterday, Steph by Draymond was phenomenal. And Steph was obviously great late. So it's just the comparison thing that I don't really love.
Nah, I'm not a fan of comparisons either, but I'm not a fan of calling any of these guys Robin, because Batman was this billionaire who had all these gadgets, and Robin was maybe a questionable relationship that this grown man has with an adolescent. Let's leave it at that. All right. Let's take a breather when we come back. We'll talk about Izzy's other adopted son, Osar Thompson, and the Pistons. Welcome back to Oddball. We're recapping the game ones. We're looking ahead of game twos. We're doing all sorts of stuff here. Izzy, your one adopted son, Amin Thompson, had a rough go of it against Steph Curry. Your other adopted son, Osar Thompson, didn't have a much better time against Jalen Brunson. Damn, that's a hard way to start your playoff career.
He was fine. He just missed a dunk.
And he also threw the ball away, and also got overzealous defensively, jumping and then getting beat off the dribble because he was trying to overcome mistakes.
That's what happens when you don't give him enough consistent responsibility. He's got to try too hard sometimes.
There it is. All right. Well, the questions posed to us by the producers is, did the Knicks' fourth quarter run, which was 21-0, by the way, fully break the Pistons, or can they calm their nerves?
I mean, I think they can be calmed down. I do think that, it was telling to see Cade Cunningham struggle. And, if you're going to be that dependent on one player, then, come the playoffs, you're going to have to find some different ways to score. And the 21 turnovers, like you said, and this was a little bit like the Warrior situation. I don't like that you were this correct, but I mean, early on he had the nice little spin move, didn't he? No, but yeah, this is one of those where it's exactly that. And I saw a tweet that said, we didn't work this hard to lose to a team of Tim Hardaway Jr. and them boys. And that's exactly how the Knicks should feel. Like, man, you see Tim Hardaway Jr. What was his best moment as a New York Knick? Calling that one referee safe in the middle of action?
That's gotta be a, whenever he goes to this high school Hall of Fame or whatever, that's got to be played.
I think that was the best example of what happened there. It was veterans versus not so veteran.
It's crazy because there was a point in the third quarter where it's Richard Jefferson and Mike Breen and Doris Burke on the call. And I knew exactly what play it was. It was the play where they hit Duran, and Duran threw like a little lob pass to, I want to say it was Harris or Hardaway who made the layup. And they remarked, wow, these guys are playing with such poise. And that was like midway through the third quarter. And then the fourth quarter happened. It was like, well, that was fun while it lasted. All right. What do we got next, Izzy?
Let's go Bucks Pacers. And the question here is, can Dame save Milwaukee? The Pacers won 117-98. Giannis had 36 and 12 and seemed to be a popular stat line, 1 assist. No other Bucks starter reached double digits, and Kyle Kuzma did nothing. But here's what I want to talk about here. Game ones are the most anomaly, right, of all the games. You don't know necessarily if it's more telling. So maybe the Bucks can stay in this. Maybe Dame, reportedly, he should be back in game 2 or 3. That's reported by Shams. but he cannot be talking trash from the bench in this 90s ass sweater.
Hold on.
Like, what the hell is he wearing?
We're not going to disrespect the memory of Greg Anthony. You remember Greg Anthony when he sucker punched, I think it was Kevin Johnson? He was a rookie for the Knicks. And I'm trying to do this to producers on the fly. But like as soon as I saw the sweater, I was like, oh, yeah, this is Greg Anthony all over again. Greg Anthony. And this is how Charles Barkley tells the story. He sucker punched Kevin Johnson with the ugliest shirt I've ever seen in my life on. That's close.
This is like 1996 coming back, like right in your face. And
93 like, earlier.
Okay, maybe.
This is Cross Colors. This is Carl Kanai. This is Dan Flashes right here.
And he gives this off just even as a hip hop artist. Like he's Nas. He's like in that realm. Yeah. And this is just like classic Dame Lillard. But never like will a championship team DVD go back and say, oh, our injured player talked trash in this ugly ass sweater. That's just never going to be in there. So I feel like the Bucks are doomed.
Unless he comes back in game 2 and unsubstantiated rumor, let me just put all the alerts and warnings and bells and whistles on this. Apparently what he said to Tyrese Halliburton was, I'll see you on Tuesday, which is pretty badass. If you're like, oh, accelerate that rehab, but the whoop his ass now.
Also the sweater, Pacers colors.
Yeah.
Let's go to Magic Celtics. Man, so this is the sound, I know you saw it, heard it, of Jaylen Brown. He was mic'd up. Yeah. And, you know, just like I said there that the Bucks weren't winning a championship because of Dame's sweater. I think the Celtics aren't repeating because of this quote from Jaylen Brown, where he said, they the magic, but they know who really got the magic over here. No Harry Potter.
All right. Look, no one bats 1,000. Sometimes you say something in the bathroom while you're getting ready or whatever, and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to try this one out. Now, here's who I'm holding accountable. I'm not holding Jaylen Brown accountable. Again, no one bats 1,000. We throw out jokes all the time in lines. Sometimes they don't work, sometimes they do, and you live with it. The problem is when you're surrounded with people who don't hold you accountable, help you raise your standard, because that's what happened. He told it to the dude. And the dude was like, oh, I like that. That's kind of hard. I'm like, no, it's not, bro. Like, come on. If I had done that with my friends, they'd be like, ah. You get like one of those, like, I'll laugh, but also I'm groaning because it's a kind of a dad joke. And that's fine, Jaylen Brown. It's fine. But you gotta look that dude in the eye and say, I don't trust you.
Speaking of which, the other part that's disconcerting is Jason Tatum taking 22 shots and scoring 17 points. And you want to look him in the eye and say, I don't trust you, especially if it's against this defense. Fortunately for the Celtics, they have the great whites, Derek and Pritchard, who are going to always save you, right? There's going to be somebody who saves you there. But Jason Tatum against this defense needs to show me something.
No, fortunately for the Celtics, they're playing a team that absolutely can't hit the broadside of a barn.
Right.
And it makes me feel for the Magic because defensively, they're there. They're right there. They're doing all the things to make this as difficult and junky for Boston as possible. Just can't hit shots, though. All right. I guess this is the last.
Keeps taking them.
Yeah, sure. Oklahoma City and Memphis. Question is, does the NBA need a mercy rule? Look, let me hold my hand up because the line before the game was was minus 13 for the Thunder. And I said, that seems aggressive. I think Memphis is actually going to give them a hard time. Going to be a little bit of a slog, maybe even. And instead, it was almost instantly. You know, I've never seen this, Izzy. Usually when you blow a team out in the first half, you go to halftime, you come out, and it's just human nature. Like the second half turns out to be break even. So you blew them out by 30, but people always point to, but in the third and fourth quarter, we hung with them. It's just that we had a bad start.
Yeah, I saw the meme of. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, they came out, they took their belt off again and whooped them even harder in the second half. I'm like, Jesus, man.
I saw the meme of those folks carrying, casket, and the one pallbearer not really doing much of anything. Yeah. And it's just like SGA and the blowout of the Grizzlies. Let's go over to the last one here, Cavs Heat. I know nobody really wants to talk about it. I'll just say this one. It feels like the Cavs just play faster, and they're obviously more talented. So it seems like the Heat needed some time to catch up. And then when they realized, oh, okay, if they play that way all the time and we play at our normal speed all the time, this isn't going to be pretty.
Ty Jerome attacked Tyler Hero like he was a wounded antelope.
That's how you know they're good. I mean, they have that as
Ty Jerome went and was like, he called his playoff debut solid. Solid is what he called it. All right, really quick. It's time for another edition of Hot Streak. Hot Streak is presented by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings. All that's to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Last week, we picked the Hawks +5 versus the Magic. And of course, the Magic blew them the hell out by 25 points. Let's get a streak going. What game should we discuss? We got Pistons at Knicks. Knicks are 6.5-point favorites. We got Clippers at Nuggets. They're 1-point favorites. The Clippers are on the road. Or T-Wolves versus Lakers. That's on Tuesday.
Let's dive into T-Wolves Lakers on Tuesday. The Lakers are -5.5 at home. Again, are we giving the Lakers way too much credit here? Is Minnesota and that guy best in the world, tell all the girls, Anthony Edwards, really that good?
Well, tell all the girls some other stuff too. But I think the Lakers, look, they got embarrassed, right? They didn't just get beat. They got embarrassed. They got bullied. So I think there's a response coming. And I think the response will end up in victory. Will the victory happen 6 points or more? 6 seems tame enough. You know what? I'll take Lakers -5.5.
-5.5. All right. I got to stick with you there, even though I don't love it.
Neither do I.